Story 1. Increase everyone's empathy significantly. I don't think I am smart enough to fix the world, but I do think that it would benefit from a lot of people actually caring about their fellow humans. Story 2. Remove all current pollution globally. No more plastic in the oceans, no more extra carbon dioxide in the sky. Rinse and repeat so people can still live their lives, but the planet will be healthier from divine intervention. Story 3. First, I would reset the Earth to its pre-human condition, then recreate human civilization and infrastructure in a more perfect and eco-friendly way. Every city, road, car, building, and house would be intricately designed and optimally constructed for the safest and most efficient function possible. Then I would redesign humans to be more intelligent, more friendly, more progressive, more empathetic, less aggressive, less violent, less greedy, and less prone to physical and mental illness. Story 4. 1. Put myself in a bubble of accelerated time. 2. Pick a bunch of smart people and pull them into the accelerated time. 3. Take our time to come up with a really good plan. Story 5. Likely very little. The long-term consequences of most major changes would likely be hideous. Removing human choice from the equation is a slippery slope towards a world where nothing matters. We need natural checks on human population growth. I don't know that there's an ethical way to make major improvements with divine interventions, but childhood cancer would get deleted if at all possible without destroying the way cell reproduction works. But that's kind of my point. The moment interference starts is the moment new weird consequences likely start rolling in. Make everybody rich, inflation immediately starts setting in because everybody starts hyper-consuming. Remove disease, the planet overpopulates in a couple of generations. Remove pain, people start dying young because they don't notice they need to stop. And that's the basic stuff I can figure out without divine intelligence. I'm sure there are far more nuanced ones. Story 6. First, I would impress upon every human the need to make each other better. Then, I would make every adult share thoughts and experiences like a giant hive mind for a week. As for those not yet adults, I would ensure that once they reached the age of 17, they would also experience the hive mind for a week. Story 7. Probably nothing. Assuming God is truly benevolent and has the best intentions for us, I will follow his lead. After all, he has been God quite a while longer than I have. Story 8. Let people know there is a bigger, underlying, more meaningful spiritual reality to all this. Life cannot just be this sociopathic, capitalistic hellscape and nothing more. Story 9. Delete it and restart, but give humans the option to customize appearance, gender, and skills. Basically, I'm turning it into an open-world action survival game. Story 10. I would go to war with evil, let it kill me, and then come back to life 3 days later. This would satisfy justice required by human indiscretions and rebellion and save them from themselves. Now, free from evil, humans can join me in rebuilding a world rooted in love instead of fear. Story 11. Non-dualistic believer here. I am God and so are you. Collective consciousness. I choose not to go around harming others. I'm in therapy, healing my own and my family's generational trauma. I am doing my part. Story 12. Psychopathic greed is gone. Empathy now has a baseline minimum so that every human being is incapable of apathy towards the suffering of others and absolutely cannot stand being the cause themselves. Story 13. Superpowers. Poor people get superpowers. Not all of them, but some. Hell, I will sprinkle some in the almost non-existent middle class as well. Oh wait, you said fix the world. Nope. Mutants versus humans. That's what I would do next. Story 14. The thing is, as God, I'd realize there's not one specific answer to this. The best things that can be done are things like giving the unheard a voice, letting the best life paths show themselves. The thing is that encouraging, uplifting, and hugs are all we need, all the child needs, giving people a chance to be heard and a chance to explore their own dreams and wishes. That's the magic the world needs. Story 15. Put an end to racism, genocide, and poverty. Smite all pedophiles, rapists, terrorists, and extremists, as well as other religious figures who bend the words of any religious book in their favor. Story 16. Invent a super energy that is dirt cheap, compact, nearly endlessly renewable, ultra-powerful, and safe to use. Who needs fossil fuels anymore? Probably not many people. Then, I would immediately replenish all the reserves of natural resources on the planet. I would refreeze the Arctic ice so climate change can become less of a problem and give humanity time to save itself. I would then set up as many businesses as I can to give people income and build up war-torn, impoverished areas. Good pay, hot meals, the works. Homelessness would likely plummet, as people would have a genuine, easy source of large income. With that large, easy source of income and labor, places like Detroit might become bustling, prosperous city centers again. I would set up a system of 24/7 free rehabilitation centers, clinics, hospitals, and soup kitchens for those who need it. I would do a systemic cleanup of all governmental corruption, make the world's banking systems simultaneously more transparent, and overhaul any systems that are either redundant or could be replaced with something better. See you later, Electoral College. And I would give the world's economies a hard reset back to their simultaneous golden ages. I would completely overhaul all the world's infrastructure. Roads, cities, etc. All of it would be carefully remodeled to perfection. Walkable cities will finally be a thing again. All the world's litter, garbage, and pollution would disappear. Story 17. I'm going to say this and probably upset people, but the idea that there is a God is why this whole world is tearing itself apart. Christians against Jews, Muslims against Buddhists, etc. What conversations could be had if they all didn't start with my God? Story 18. Is my godhood omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent? If yes to all, we are about to institute a ton of reforms. First, I'm reinstituting manna from heaven for a bit. No food scarcity, and it will have the taste and texture of whatever food you want most at the time. Also, within reason, so as not to wreck local ecosystems, as I'm omniscient, I'd understand the balance there. Ensure that drinking water is clean and available for every person. I'm also going to rebalance the atmospheric carbon. I'll get to the sources of that problem to follow. I'm curing all diseases, resolving all disabilities, and reassigning parts to anyone who wants different parts. I don't care which parts you want. I don't even care how many. Have as many as you can handle, and if you change your mind, your parts will change again. Try things out. Get creative. Have fun. As long as you actually want it for yourself, it's no problem to me. I'm going to give everyone a universal translator feature. You can and should speak in any language you want, and everyone who can hear you will be able to understand your words. I'm literally nerfing all weapons. If someone tries to use any type of object to kill someone else, it turns into a Nerf-style version of that thing. If it might still kill someone, like getting crushed by an intercontinental ballistic missile-sized Nerf missile, it becomes insubstantial. Acting in hate or violence will result in a timeout. When you try to act in hate, rage, cruelty, or just willfully causing harm to another person, you go temporarily catatonic. You'll be fine, but you just can't move or speak for about 5 minutes, or however long it takes for you to calm down. And I'll tell you clearly in your own internal voice why what you were doing got you frozen. This will also include acting within a system that causes de facto violence to others. For road rage issues or while operating machinery, since that can cause problems for others, you and your machine are teleported to the nearest safe available parking spot for a device of its type. Yes, it's magical. I'm God now. Then we're going to talk about personhood for animals. I bet they'll have some important insights to offer in the matter, and it's not like people will need to eat them anymore. I might test out limited-range telepathic communication options, but that won't likely be a first-day thing. The goal will be making things clearer, but hearing every single bug screaming, "I want to have sex," isn't helpful to the world at large. Once we have a baseline of food, water, air, bodily autonomy and safety, and world peace, I'll get started on what I'm going to do about greed and exploitation. Story 19. I just let everyone know that I'm real, what I think is considered moral, and that I'm watching them. And they're going to be judged by the morality of their actions when they die. I think that would clear up a lot of problems in the world if everyone just knew for a fact that there is a God, and he is going to judge them eventually by specific standards, and there will really be consequences. What we have right now is dozens of different mainstream religions and denominations and non-theists that believe different things about the existence of God or gods and what they want. The ambiguity leads to religious wars and people that believe there are no permanent consequences for actions on the extreme sides of the spectrum. Both of these would be cleared up if the terms of mortal life were made clear, and there would be a lot less suffering in the world. Any more action than that might disturb the delicate balance of human free will and laws of physics and nature that were so carefully crafted into the universe long ago. Story 20. A couple of things, probably. Increase empathy, decrease greed. Encourage creative minds to focus on non-polluting and pollution-clearing technology and investments. Introduce a formidable enemy from either outer space or another dimension to force humanity to work together for the benefit of all. This enemy would be powerful but beatable, even if it's at the cost of a couple of billion people in the end. Earth is overcrowded, we can all agree on that. Look, if I'm God, Earth is my ant farm, my simulation world. Deal with it. Story 21. Honestly, I'm not sure what can be done to fix most of what's wrong. So I might go the incredibly vague route and broadcast to the world. If you do evil things, I will kill you. Story 22. The Great Flood Part 2. But this time, make sure I sink any pesky arcs and eliminate every human being. Then Earth can return to being a paradise without the evil orcs, also known as human beings. Story 23. If a real God with only the best for the human race in mind, get rid of a whole lot of people, preferably the mentally unstable, aggressive, and antisocial ones, doing so at a pace where humanity can adapt well. Oh, and make it impossible for unfit people to have children, the ones hurting, molesting, and abusing their children. Story 24. I wouldn't do anything, but I would just show up in the Pope's lap, do a few miracles to prove it, then tell everyone that I was going to threaten the earth if they don't start putting people in general first. And then when they inevitably start arguing over which of their religions is the right one, that's when I'll cause everyone to hallucinate a grinder bigger than the moon in a region of this imagined space that everyone could see as a warning. Then repeat the warning with, I will smoke you. Story 25. Spin the world back to a simpler time like 1999 and use the future knowledge to try and cut off all the move fast, break things technology innovators before they even have a chance to monetize their platforms and ideas, let alone weaponize them to the degree that we are currently enduring. Basically, everything they accuse the Illuminati of doing, but using the power for good instead of personal gain. Get someone like Bill Gates and grant him knowledge of the future perils so he agrees to use his wealth to fund programs that we know the government will delay. Like the way Mark Cuban is trying to disrupt prescription prices. Show them the sports almanac and say, trust me, it's not going to get better on its own and that wealth isn't going to help you in the slightest in the afterlife, so you may as well use it for good while you're alive. Story 26. Make Elon Musk a nature-loving hippie. Free everybody from their mind's intoxication with beliefs, so as to suddenly realize their true power. Change my own story about seeing a broken world, because what I see is, and not the other way around. If I stop seeing the ugliness of the world balances itself. I need not do anything to it. The world is caused by my seeing of it. Did you ever observe how seeing more of something creates more to be seen of that something? And then we falsely assume that we are discovering more of a standalone, independent topic. Nothing is independent by my seeing of it. We incorrectly think that we rationalize about an objective world, failing to see that we create the very world we rationalize about through the process of rationalization itself. And if you receive something which you personally did not think previously, that is called conditioning, also known as the baggage of knowledge that you've gathered throughout various dreamed experiences. It is all the content of your mind coming back to be resolved or continued. You make the choice at every turn. Thinking is limited imagination. We make limits and then constrict our creativity to work in patterns that sustain our delusional reality. And we call it education. Story 27. If we are talking about literally an all-powerful God, then it is trivial. I could expand all resources to be infinitely available to the people who need them. Anybody who insists on living in a world with violence and hate and racism and all that kind of stuff, I would create a separate planet where that stuff could run rampant, and those people could be happy they're fighting with each other. Story 28. Separate the people. Group them all by their strongest beliefs and put them on different planets so they have no excuse to kill one another again. Then probably watch in shock as they killed each other even more. Story 29. Well, we need to fix the way people worship and idolize money. Money is just a tool of social control so people can exchange their labor for goods and services. All of the billionaire hedge fund brokers would fall over dead instantly since they profit off the exchange of money. If you are a billionaire who specifically made your fortune off financial services, you are in for a bad day. Next, we start with the clergy who touch children and megachurch ministers with their private jets. Story 30. I think a healthy dose of empathy and compassion would self-correct a lot of the problems we see in the world. If everyone had respect for one another and cared for everyone else's well-being, then immediately we would all take steps to look out for one another and our futures. Selfishness is the root of so many problems.